Hey, what's going on, guys? Look, welcome back to the channel. How you doing? Look, if you don't know, my name is Brandon Massenburg. I'm running for Board of Supervisors in Prince George County, District 2. All right, listen, I made a couple of videos on the channel. I've got my first one, which was the Let's Grow Together, was a plan that I had, something to help us raise a little revenue for the county, something for the future of the county. I've done a couple on some walks that I've done. My friend, the Walking Bowling Ball, my alter ego, one of them, one of many, I would say. Just talking about different things, doing a wrap-up of our first town hall meeting. We have our second town hall this Sunday, actually, from 2:30 to 4 o'clock in Disputana. I'll see you there. I did another one. I was just, talking about different things, just talking about growth. Today, we're going to talk about these solar farms. We're going to talk about these solar farms. We're going to talk about these solar communities, okay? Now, listen, I'm going to try to keep this one short. I know these 20-minute videos are kicking some of y'all's butt. I don't mean to be long-winded, but there's a lot to do, okay? So I'm going to cut through all the frou-frou, okay? Listen, I'm not going to get into ideology today. I'm not going to get into liberal conservative. I'm not going to get into climate change or do anything like that. That's not what this video is about. I don't think that's what you want to hear about. What you want to hear about are the economics. You want to hear about the money. Look, if there's one thing you can count on me to talk to you about as a business guy, as a business owner, as a husband, as a father, somebody who deals with numbers every day, who has to make money on my own in order to survive, in order to feed my family, I'm going to talk to you about the money, all right? I'm going to talk to you about the economics. If it doesn't make sense, we ain't going to do it, okay? Now, listen, before we start, let me say this also. Listen, man, I post a lot, I talk a lot. My plans are out there, okay? If there's ever anything you want to know about me, there's ever anything that you want to, hey man, how does he feel about this? How does he feel about that? I'm going to tell you. You can always reach me. You can always talk to me. I'm always available, man. Website, www.pgpeeps.com. Okay, the email, pgsuperd2@gmail.com. My phone number's on the website. Listen, Facebook, Brandon Massenburg, you can reach me there. I want to talk to you, okay? I'm not ducking any smoke, man. I'm not ducking any smoke, and I'm also not throwing any shade, all right? I'm running because I want to help my county. I'm not leaving my county. I'm not going somewhere else. Just because I have ideas that are different from someone else's, they might be different from yours, it doesn't mean I have to leave. Doesn't mean you have to leave either. Neither one of us should leave. That's why we have elections. But I do want what's best for our county. I want what's best for my family. I want what's best for your family. And so the ideas that I'm putting forward aren't crazy. They're not radical. It's what I think is going to help benefit all of us, okay? So if you agree with me, great. I want you to vote for me. Early voting starts September 22nd, and it goes through November 7th. If you don't agree with me, just keep listening. Keep listening, all right? And if we get down to it and you're just like, man, I can't vote for that guy, at least you know where I stand, okay? And if it turns out good for me, which I think it will, just know that you have a friend in me. You can always reach out to me. You can always talk to me, all right? Cool. All right, let's get to this thing. All right, look. So I titled this video, The Future of Solar Farms, right? And listen, I'm going to wrap this thing up real quick. Look, just so you can know, there's 1,000 acres of farmland currently for sale in Prince George County right now, okay? Now listen, the average farm size in Prince George is for sale right now is 72 acres, okay? The valuation of the 1,000 acres of farmland as is right now, and we know land, it always appreciates in value, as is $9 million. $9 million. $9 million. So if you're sitting on a chunk of land right now and you're not doing anything with it, you're not farming it, it's just sitting there, there's somebody that's willing to pay you, if you got a big chunk of it, a whole lot of money to do something on it, okay? And when it gets down to it, guys, those are one of the benefits of the solar farms and for the solar communities, okay? Look, man, and just to bring it more closer to people who aren't big landowners, if you got a house, all right? You and your family are currently living in the house. Your family's there, and say your mom and dad had a house before, or say you guys had a house before. You guys moved to another house, it's a bigger house for your family, and now you got this old house. All right, now you own this house, and you still got that one too. So what are you gonna do? You're gonna rent that house out to make some money, okay? It's a good way to make some extra income, okay? You got that house is bringing you in $1,200, $1,300, $1,500, depending upon where you live in, $2,000, $2,500 a month, okay? It's the exact same thing that landowners are doing with these solar farms, okay? They're taking their land, they're taking their asset, which is their farm, their unused farmland, and they're leasing it out to these solar companies, okay? Now, this is America. And let me be the first one to tell you that I believe in property rights, okay? I'm a big believer in property rights. The foundation of this country is built on property rights, okay? So you're not gonna hear me sit here and argue with you about what somebody should, could, or can do on their own land. This is America, rock out, all right? It's your land. The reason that they're doing this is because it's gonna be a way for them to make some money off of their land, okay? Now listen, as an individual, I'm cool with that. Now, let me tell you something about the community, okay? So, say you're at Prince George County, and Prince George County decides to go out, and we decide to invest in some land. So the county goes out, and the county goes, look, man, we're gonna buy up 200, 300 acres of farmland. I'm not saying that's on the docket. I'm not saying that's something that I necessarily wanna do. I'm not saying that's something that's coming down the pike. I'm just using this as a hypothetical. Say Prince George County wants to go out and buy 250 acres of farmland, okay? Prince George goes out, they buy 250 acres of farmland, and instead of them actually developing this and turning it into a residential neighborhood or condos or whatever the heck else they want to do with it, say they decide to make this into a solar community, okay? They make it into a solar community. All right, now, the county owns this land. So whatever they put on here, whatever comes back into these solar communities, one of the benefits of that is that can go towards property tax revenue. Okay, so you're talking about taking the money that we get in, and that money can go to our schools, that money can go to our roads, that money can go to our public services, okay? Look, $750 million were brought in to for state and local taxes and lease payments just from using these solar communities in the year 2020, okay? $116 billion nationwide. This is turning into big business, and it's just the beginning. This is just the beginning. You're talking about getting in on something on the ground floor. Listen, this is the ground floor. The elevator ain't started going up yet, okay? $750 million. Now, you look at the general fund for the county for fiscal year 23-24, you're talking about what, $72 million? $72 million. You think an extra 7.5 wouldn't help? Okay, maybe that's high. You think an extra 5 wouldn't help? You think an extra $5 million, you think an extra $5 million, and say we earmark that $5 million to go directly to our schools, just from that one project. Say we earmark that money, and that money goes directly to public services. Say we split that money. Say we pull in 10 million one year. Say we pull in 10 million. Let's say 10 million. I'm an optimistic guy. I saw a post earlier. I got big dreams. Say we get 10 million one year. $10 million. We get 10 extra million dollars from a project like this. You think that's not going to make a difference for our schools? You think that's not going to make a difference in what we can do with our county infrastructure? You think that's not going to make a difference for fire and EMS? For our police officers, for social services? You think that's not going to make a difference? That's going to make a huge difference. So you're talking about one benefit to the county, one benefit to everybody that lives in the county? That's one. How about another one? And look, this is and some people are going to say, I don't really care about this. Well, I do. Reduce energy costs. Listen, if you're a low-income resident, and I don't know if you've been around the county a lot, but there are a lot of low-income people in the county. You know, and it's kind of a touchy subject. Class is a touchy subject. Class is a very touchy subject. And a lot of people don't want to talk about it. Just my experience with Prince George County, being here for the time that I've been here, but especially over the last few years being an adult, there are a lot of people who are doing really well in Prince George County. A lot of you know who those people are. Let me tell you something. And COVID exposed this. There are a lot of people in Prince George County right now who are not doing that well, okay? And so let me tell you, the lower cost and the money that'll come in from being connected to a solar community that might save you 10 to 20% on your monthly bill, dude, that's groceries. That's groceries. That's gas money going into your car, okay? Listen, that money can go back into buying your kids some school clothes. That money could go back into anything that you wanted to go back into because it's lowering a cost for you. It's actually making your life easier by connecting to the grid and getting that power source, okay? Now listen, here's the third one. Here's the third one, and this is a big one, and it ties back in to this one here, and it's community ownership. Community ownership of a solar farm, community ownership of a community. So listen, once again, the county goes out and the county purchases this land. The county can do that, and we can use this money to do our infrastructure. We can use that money to go back into our coffers and fund whatever we want that money to fund. We can use that money for schools, for roads, for public services. We can also use that money to reinvest. We can use that money to reinvest in more things. So what if we wanted to add, instead of doing 250 acres, what if we wanted to do 500? You're telling me right now, and you're being reasonable. Yes, I know you like farmland. Yes, farmland is beautiful. I'm not saying it's not. That's not what the point is. The economics of the situation. You're telling me right now, if you're pulling in $10 million a year off of 250 acres a year, you're telling me it wouldn't be worth it as an investment to go ahead and buy another 250 acres and now pull in 20, maybe 25 million? What would an extra 25 million do for your schools? What would an extra 25 million do for your roads? What would an extra 25 million do for your public services? That's what people are looking at when they're talking about the economics of the solar farmers, okay? Not the ideology of the solar farms, not how they look and what they're doing, just the basic economics of it and what it could be, okay? Now listen, I've got this part marked out right here. My shoulders are probably in the way, so let me move, all right? This one right here says the boogeyman, okay? The boogeyman are the rumors and the things that you hear about the solar panels that may or may not be true. And if you hear that rumbling outside, that's because there's a storm coming. So I need to get the heck up out of here, all right? Now listen, number one, modern solar panels do not contain sufficient hazardous materials to hurt land or people. Okay, number one, what modern solar panels are made out of? You're talking about the aluminum, you're talking about the silicone. Those are basic things that are in basic products, everyday products, okay? You're not gonna have any runoff into your groundwater. You're not gonna have anything that's gonna happen to your land. You're not gonna get some kind of fucking poisoning, excuse me for cussing, some kind of poisoning from the solar panels. That's not gonna happen. That's not going to happen, okay? That is a misnomer. That doesn't happen. So let's just go ahead and let's do that, okay? Listen, number two, decommissioned panels are the responsibility of the project owner. It's not on the county to get rid of the solar panels. It's not on me and you to get rid of the solar community. It's on the project owner. So whoever decides to invest in our county and whoever decides to put these up out here in these farms, whenever they're done, typically they're a 35-year lease, whenever they're done and they want to move these, if they want to decommission these for whatever reason, it is their responsibility to get rid of these, not ours, okay? So that's not a burden on the county, it's not a burden on the taxpayers, that's a burden on the project owner, okay? All right, lastly, and listen, this is the one that I hear a lot of, okay? Modern solar panels, they have no significant heat island effect. What's a heat island effect? A heat island effect is basically when you get up to those solar panels, when you go to that solar farm, it's not 300 million degrees by the solar panels and then like 92 degrees down the street, okay? There's no significant heat island effect, okay? So basically, it's the same. It's just you're gonna hear the hum, you're gonna hear that when you drive past, you're gonna hear that when you're walking past, but you're not in some kind of like, modern hell dystopia when you're standing by the panels and everywhere else is nice and cool, okay? So that's also a misnomer, okay? So just to keep the video short, just to give you a little, my take on it. Listen, if you're a farm owner, if you got a home, if you're sitting on 72 acres of land, okay? And you got 50 acres that you don't want to use, I'm not going to tell you what to do with your property anyway, man. That ain't my place, all right? But if you want to put that up with solar panels, and if you want to get into the weeds of it and see, what they have to do, all the requirements that they have, because there's a bunch of requirements that they have to go through in order to do these things, okay? If that's what you want to do, I don't see why not. To be honest with you, man, you're talking about making money for the county, okay? You're talking about making sure that we get the proper infrastructure. You're talking about fully funding our schools, making sure that our teachers are paid, making sure admin is paid. You're talking about public services, okay? You're talking about making sure firefighters have what they need, making sure police officers have what they need, making sure that social services can do their job, okay? When you're talking about bringing in revenue for your county, this is a good way to do it, okay? Now, we're not a city, we're not landlocked in, we're not kind of, boxed in, okay? We're not Petersburg, we're not Hopewell. So one of our major assets that we have as a county is gonna be our land. Our green space is a major asset for us, okay? And now, if we don't do our infrastructure building, which is gonna be a future video coming up, if we're not gonna build the infrastructure immediately, which we should be doing, This is going to be one of the best ways in order for us to get revenue so we can ensure that we're taking care of the people who are taking care of us, okay? This is going to be one of the best ways. And so when you talk about the current board and you go, oh man, you know, all those guys want is money. Those guys are getting money under the table. I don't know that, all right? I don't have a dog. I don't know, okay? But what I can tell you is if I'm them, what I'm thinking about is we don't have the water treatment center, so we can't pump water throughout the county. We can't get a bunch of businesses that want to come in here and invest right now because we just don't have the infrastructure for it. These people don't want me to raise their taxes anymore, but I got to make sure that I meet my obligations. How am I going to do that? And that's what they're thinking. That's what they're thinking. That's what you would do. Hopefully that's what you would do. I don't know what you would be doing, but you got to think of some way to raise this money in order to meet your obligations, okay? And this is one way to do it, all right? You know, I can go deeper into it. There's a lot of information. I'd be happy to go over it. You guys have got my information right here. If you want to know more, drop something down in the comments, all right? You can message me on Facebook. You know, you can give me a call. You can go to the website, www.pgpeeps.com. You can shoot me an email. But the bottom line, the basics of the whole situation is simply this, man. It's a good way to get revenue. It's a good way to bring revenue into the county. As an independent person, if you're just on your own land, if it's just something that you're interested in and just making money for yourself, lowering your energy costs for yourself, putting a couple of panels on your roof, or doing something on your small farm, it's a good way for you to make a little money in lease payments for a county. If you're talking about investing big term, if you're talking about bringing in tax revenue, if you're talking about being able to reduce energy costs for a lot of your residents in the long term, okay, and possibly having equity stakes in it. So if you're talking about kicking money back to people later, which is also something that can be done from this, then yeah, it's a good investment, all right? I hope that video helped. Listen, I want to do a video on the water treatment center and our infrastructure. I got that coming up, but you know what, man? I really want to do this video on taxes. I haven't really decided which one I want to do next. Thank you guys for watching. You'll see me on Facebook. You'll see me around. I'll keep you posted on what I want to do, all right? Listen, I'd love for you to vote for me. I want to keep the conversation going. I want to be your representative on the board, okay? My name is Brandon Massenburg, Prince George County Board of Supervisors, District 2. Vote Massenburg, okay? Let's grow together.